right, everybody, welcome back to the show. It's your boy Coach UV, and this is Unique Trading Group. I got a special one for you tonight. We're gonna cover a couple of tickers. All right, we got Tesla, AKBA, Merck, Hood. Got a little bit of SPY, of course, the big monster Tesla right in front of us, and we're gonna go over some market eternals. What else do we have here? We got CoreWeave. We also have Nvidia. All right, Palantir. So we're gonna check a couple of tickers so as to make it quick, and I do not hold you guys for a long time. This is a Freaky Friday. When you say Friday the 13th has really proven itself today. You got a whole lot of tickers that are doing what it wants to do, right? Like a Tesla, and then you have other tickers who are just completely giving it away. All right, so on a broader basis, on a serious note, on a broader basis, you have some stocks that are declining in the advance and decline line, and so that's what you're going to have. You're going to have selective participation because volume is going in one stock and the volume is going out of another. All right, and so here on Tesla, what do we have? Okay, right now I'm also in leaps. All right, if I want to protect any of my money or any downside during the daytime, I like to scalp. You know, the money's available in my account. I like to scalp puts. I like to hedge, right? But I am long Tesla, and I do have leaps. So right in front of us on the 4-hour time frame, all right, I'm going to do my analysis on this one. All right, so 4-hour, what do we have? We have a double bottom W shape. All right, the bears got trapped in right here. Okay, all right, we found a place of demand. Looking left, we found a place of demand, and now we are creating higher lows. All right, this is an extension. Okay, an extension move away. We have a pullback, profit taken. All right, so this is a potential bull flag and another potential W shape, which is a technical bear trap pattern forming on a 4-hour time frame. What do we need to see? Everybody likes signals. Everybody likes precision, right? See, the context and the market structure is first. All right, the signals give you your entry, but then you have to define your exit. Remember, always define your entry, your exit, and always define your risk. The top 3 most important things, okay, in that aspect. All right, so what do we want to see on Tesla? All right, for me to be completely convinced that we found new ground on Tesla, we would have to pass above 336.61. All right, 336.31, 336.61. All right, on the 4-hour time frame is my call trigger for Tesla. All right, he hit an ATM sound. All right, all the way up to 357. All right, I'm looking for that retest. I want to shave off some profits inside of this gap. We have a gap. All right, the gap could be the break. All right, the gamma squeeze break of the 337 up this way. All right, the 336.61. All right, first target, first profit will be around 340, 342. Don't be greedy. All right, understand the setup. Wait, be patient. All right, I've waited all day today in this Freaky Friday on all of these pullbacks in the market, but I stood tall because I have time. All right, and so that pain, all of this pain doesn't hurt me. All right, I want to use other people's panic and pain in order to profit from that. So that's to the upside. All right, right now we have price above the 21. All right, so that's bullish to me. All right, we do not have higher highs just yet, but we do have higher lows, so we're in an indecision moment. Okay, we don't have about an hour, right? It's power hour time. All right, it just turned to 3 p.m. on Friday the 13th. Okay, and this is a episode of that itself. All right, this is a new episode. Okay, I'm going to be doing these OPEX Fridays, which is be turned into the Freaky Fridays, only if it's the Friday 13th. So it's a very special episode, but it's always going to be the options OPEX Friday releases. Okay, but today, because it's a special Friday the 13th, understand that's what I'm coining that phrase. All right, and so we don't have but an hour left in the market. Now, if this video is released, then hey, lucky you, all right? Lucky you, depending on how short I am, all right? And I want to be brief, but give you commentary. This is the Unique Trading Group, live commentary and stock talk, all right? And so if we was to get below 320 is my line in the sand, all right? I want to cut my calls at 320, all right? Understanding that 318.55 was a place of demand where we sprouted up towards the 3 high end of the 30s on Tesla. And so if we break below 320, I want to say, hey, maybe I need to be thinking about cutting my longs or thinking about maybe scalping some puts down to 318. If 318 loses itself, then 315 will come relatively fast. And then of course 315 being the midway point for Tesla. All right, 315 being right here on the screen where my cursor is. All right, this will be a breaking point from a bottom of a demand zone, okay? And so we could go down and fill these gaps. There are gaps towards the downside, but as of right now, we are not filling that, all right? So that's what I will be looking for on Tesla, all right? Let's hop over to the VIX. What do I see on the VIX? Right now, we're on the 30-minute time frame, possible W shape. The bulls came in, they won, they broke this neckline, and now we have a breakout pullback, all right? As of right now, the low of this candle on the 30-minute time frame, we have an hour left in the market. 2098, so 2098 is holding. Let's talk to a higher time frame. Let's go to the daily time frame. All right, right now we have a hammer candle. Okay, this means that there are more calls being bought on the VIX and there are more puts being bought on the market. All right, and so that's showing some strength right now on the daily time frame. Okay, and that's what you see on the SPY today with all of the pressure. Okay, but if we do not pass 25, we can see the spike to 25 on the VIX. Okay, we can see a spike to 25 on the VIX, right? Which would be cause for the VIX, all right? A break of $22. $22 will be your call trigger for VIX in the short SPY, all right? But we need to get past 2238, 2240, all right, in order to see that push towards the upside, okay? All right, now, moving on along, all right, we're going to get to the SPY. All right, SPY is right in front of us. What do we have here? Okay, this is what I see, all right? Now, of course, if the market comes out with some news, I want to be real clear about this, all right? It's 3:03 p.m., all right? Episode OPEX Friday, all right? Freaky Friday, that's what we're doing, all right? We understand the terminology, but there's going to be a report that comes out, all right, within this power hour around 3:30 p.m. This is going to be your COT report. I say it again, all right? Get your pen, paper, screenshot, record, whatever you need to do, all right? But it will be the COT report. And the COT report is the commitment of traders, all right? The commitment of traders is what COT stands for. And you can find that information at www.cftc.com. All right, gonna make this a little bit wider for you guys so you can see, and we're gonna move on along. All right, COT report, all right, the commitment of traders, and at 3:30 is going to tell us a couple of things. All right, it's going to say where are the big buys and the institutions from the banks. All right, where are the big buys from the institutions and from the banks? Okay, at 3:30 p.m. we're going to know where the non-commercials are, the commercials, and the retailers. All right, and some speculative bets. All right, but a lot of times you get hedging. Okay, there are some economic headwinds going on today. Be very, very careful. We do have more red folded data on www.forexfactory.com, and we also have quadruple witching coming up next week. All right, quadruple witching day is on June 20th, and I've been warning you guys about this. So today was about giving you guys an update on OPEX Friday and giving you some clarity or understanding what's going on. All right, and if you don't know what quadruple witching is, this is a time and place where a lot of indices contracts expire. See, we deal in contracts when it comes to trading, the futures market, the forex market, the equities market, right? Which is what I trade heavily, the equities market. All right, we deal in contracts, and what do contracts do in nature? They expire and or give a long-term contractual agreement. And so those things expire heavily, all right, and it makes sense because it's the midway of the year. June completes the midway of the year, making that 6-month change, all right? And so you want to keep that in mind. And with that said, I understand that we have pressure on the VIX. Now, if we get a spike on the VIX, we can fall back down and fill these gaps at 593, 591 being a magnet for price, all right? 593 and 591 are my targets for SPY if we get a spike on the VIX. But in order for us to see some downside continuation from right now, 595 is going to have to, it's going to be shown as a resistance, all right? It needs to be shown as resistance. Price is going to have to reject there on a bounce down and retrace back up. 595 needs to show as resistance, a wall for price to fall back down to the downside. Okay, that price being right here, 595, to fall back to retest to 591. But right now we are creating higher highs. I'm sorry, higher lows. All right, if you watch my videos before, you know that higher lows is a technical bullish in nature, meaning we could go back to the upside. All right, we could go back to the upside. Bear with me as I navigate the screen. All right, here on the SPY on the 1 hour, we have the volume profile sitting at around 613. Okay, and we have some indecision going on right now, but we are bouncing off of the Bollinger Band. This could be a possible W shape. All right, that's your scenarios to the upside. All right, so if we break above 597.60, 597.60 needs to hold above following into next week. All right, anytime we go into this number, no matter Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 597.60 needs to show a place of demand so that we can go towards the upside on the market. All right, and so we could see some rejection or some sort of news that comes out overnight and we end up going towards the upside. All right, understand that. All right, here we go. We got RBNE today. We had a trade in the Discord today. We talked about how the market was having some headwinds and oil was going up, so a couple of the oil sectors were actually hitting. Right, these stocks were really hitting. So I'm gonna go to some, let's go to some swing trade alerts. All right, we're going to pick and choose. We have the swing trade alerts, the day trade alerts, and we have the, of course, scalp alerts. All right, in the Discord. This is the unique trading group, and if you want to join a thriving community, right, join us down in the link below. Okay, where we teach you how to fish. This is the unique trading group. All right, mindset. All right, mindset is all about strategy. Okay, there's no contents in psychology if you don't have a strategy. You understand that? And so this is where mindset meets strategy and discipline turns into income. I wanted to quickly show you some of the call outs and what you can get when you join us. All right, this is the tier 1 and tier 2. All right, for a free limited time for the first week or two, if you're able to get into there inside, I will be giving out some free material and some free call outs. All right, so today I mentioned, all right, today I mentioned around 9:44. All right, I mentioned that I was hopping back into some Merck calls. All right, got a little bit of follow through on Merck today. I'm long. I see a falling wedge on Merck, so I'm holding. All right, we have targets of 80, 85, 90, and 95. All right. Also today, I hopped into some Tesla calls. You can see here, I bought the 600 strike, guys. Sometimes you don't have to buy right there close to the money. You could buy it out of the money, right? This play ended up going, I forget the actual percentage gain. But I hopped in on a trigger on Tesla, and this is what happened. All right, I hopped in, I bought 2 contracts, spent about, of course, $500, and Tesla ran up today. Tesla ran up, and I called this out early in the morning, and we ran all the way up towards 330. All right, we ran all the way up towards 330. Okay, so moving on along. All right. Bag secure. We had somebody in the chat, Miss Joy. All right, she joined us a couple of weeks ago. She joined one of the lives with me and Miss Selena. We had one of the OGs in the market. All right, that I know. All right, and so she made about $133 today. Shout out to Joy. I'm proud of you. All right, money in the bank. Light bill, water bill, gas, it doesn't matter. All right, she made that money. She executed. She followed through, and she made her some extra profit. All right. And I'm shouting her out, congratulating her right now. These are the day trades, all right? All right, now, listen, very exclusive, okay? Very exclusive, all right? Oh, also we have Less is More, who gave us some shout outs today. All right, she gave us some call outs today, and I wanted to shout her out as well because sometimes you never know what you're going to get from the guys and the gents in the chat, and they always come through with some bullish or bearish nice charts. And I want to say thank you guys, appreciate that. All right, now here's last but not least, inside of the Discord, one of the trades that I gave out. All right, it was RBNE. All right, that was around 10:50 this morning. And what do we have? Price shot up all the way, as you can see, plus 375%. I want to remind you that the banks do not give you that. All right, the banks do not give you that kind of return. I don't care how many years you are, right? You can get some percentage gains from some high yield savings accounts, but you won't get that in one day. All right, so I alerted the chat. All right, I alerted the chat. I said, hey, let's go back here. This can also be a scalp. All right, I put up the chart, and I let them know that this morning a lot of the scanners were going off of the oil stocks. All right, sometimes the scan comes in and gives me the best setup. I don't want to just throw my money out there. All right, trading is not about gambling. Excuse me, guys. I want to be really clear. All right, you can lose money in trading. The game is built for you to lose, but it's also built for folks to make money. If you can get on the right side of the market, if you can identify your problems in the market and identify your edges, what's more likely to happen? All right, these are the pockets when you kind of get a really steep learning curve where you understand that the process is better than the profit. And so I want the big fish. I want the best risk to reward. And if you understand the demand, right, and understand human behavior, you got to strike whenever good companies are on sale. All right, this is the motto. All right, you got to become a great loser in order to become a great winner in trading and stay consistent to make this a business, right? Extra income. All right, you got to be able, all right, to understand risk to reward. Okay, that's the name of the game. Process over profits. This is not gambling. A trading plan, and what's more likely to happen is the way you do that. All right, and once you get into a winner position, you want to lock in that profit. All right, and that's exactly what happened here. You have this stock here, RBNE. All right, I alerted the group. All right, it was the best chart that I seen, and so I hopped in around here. This dip here caught that push to the upside. I secured profits before it dropped, and it also created a head and shoulders, and I alerted the chat as well. And here is that head and shoulders that it created. All right, almost $20. Okay, almost $20 is what I said. And what did we get? We had a push all the way to 19, so almost $20. Very good trade. All right, I put out that call out at around 9 o'clock, and by 10:50, all right, almost 2 hours. All right, 375% gainer. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Now look at the chart. All right, the market is still open. Do you think that the war from Iran and all these things are going to continue to happen? Who knows? All right, anything could happen, but I will secure profits and I will not be hopping and chasing anything. All right, so below 1461 and below 1389, you can see a flush back to the downside towards the 21. Now moving along, what do we have? All right, thank you guys for joining me on this episode of OPEX Friday, Freaky Friday. All right, Friday the 13th. All right, this is Hood. Appreciate you guys staying around. If you like the content so far, why not give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, right, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that way you are notified when I drop valuable videos. And of course, I am a mentor and a coach. All right, I am not a financial advisor, but I am here to help those who want to learn how to fish. Okay, so do me a favor. If you want to check out a free course, a free discipline course, how I show you how to turn discipline into income. If you want that free course, all right, it costs you nothing, and click that link right up to the right that pops up. All right, stop the video if you need to and go check out that link and learn how to turn discipline into income. All right, here we go. We have Hood. All right, now I see some weekend tops. Okay, we have some exhaustion. The bears are currently in control right now. The bears are currently in control, and below 71.59, I see flush down towards $68. All right, to retrace towards the 21. That's what I see on the daily time frame. On an hour, if we can hold those daily time frame levels, then of course we can hold prices to sustain towards the upside on Hood. Now Hood is a very prominent stock. A lot of people are in this stock. They love this stock. They're buying shares, they're buying leaps and options, and so this stock is very volatile. This also has something to do with crypto. Okay, Robinhood is what this represents, the app that allows newcomers to come and trade. Okay, and so just looking on a 6-month time frame, guys, just check out this chart. All right, this doesn't say bearish to me. All right, this is a really good chart. All right, check out the institutional holdings. Right, maybe check that. Right, maybe check out the better BETA. All right, check out the better BETA. All right, and you'll find some things. All right, so moving on along. All right, I want to check out. Let's check out Merck. All right, quickly. All right, Merck is pulling back a little bit. We had some follow through today towards the upside around $82. Okay, that's the hour time frame, and of course on the intraday time frame. All All right, having some technical difficulties. Bear with me as I navigate the screen. Appreciate you guys' patience. All right, I'm going to be talking about Merc. And of course, if you guys want to talk about anything, leave me a comment below. All right, I talk back, I engage. All right, we are in this together. All right, until we're not. Just joking. All right, so listen, here on Merc, all right, we have some continuation break off of the 21 cents, $78. I alerted the group around this price, 78. Proof of that is, if you know me, you know that I love the volume profile. Right? If you don't know what that is, it's just fine. I teach this in my mentorship. All right, if you want one-on-one coaching and or a free discovery call to see where you are, all right, check out that link below as well. Okay, right here on Merc, there's a falling wedge. On Merc, we have a possible W shape, a bear trap, a double bottom, whatever you want to call it. We have a neckline towards here around 85, which is one of my targets. Okay, I want to shave off some profits here. I am in leaps and Merc. Okay, we're going to have to see a break above 82.41. all right, $82 needs to hold and show a place of demand. All right, the bulls are going to have to step in at 82 bucks, all right, in order for us to see continuation to the upside. Other than that, I want to continuously monitor my position week to week. All right, since I have leaks. Okay, and what do we have today? Today is Friday. Let's clear off the screen. All right, what do we have today on Merc? All right, what do we have? All right, falling wedge. Okay, there's a falling wedge. Again, if you want to see what a falling wedge is, I can quickly show you that. All right, see what a falling wedge is. Falling wedge. Okay, there we go. All right, falling wedge. Let's check one out right here. There we go. First one I see. Okay, what do we have here? All right. Uh-oh. Kind of lost me there. Here we go with the pop-ups. All right. Here we go. Falling wedge. Falling wedge. Okay. Resistance support. Squeezing it down to that channel. See the W shape that hasn't formed yet? Hasn't made a shape yet? All right. That's what I'm trying to talk about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Right here, you see it even better. You see the inverse head and shoulder. Head, shoulder, shoulder. That's another signal. All right. Neckline. Sloping neckline. All right. Almost W shape. All right. That's what I see on Merc. So I want to stay long and I want to buy the dip. All right. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so you guys trade at your own caution. All right. Now moving along, Palantir, man. I love Palantir, man. There's actually a stock. I'm going to give it out to the Discord members. There's a stock that you can play Palantir. It's relatively cheap, but it follows Palantir. All right. I'm going to give it out to the Discord members. So lucky you guys are a part of the group. All right. Palantir on the 4 hours looking bullish. Higher highs, higher lows. You're holding the volume point of control. If we fall below 132, 130, we will see a flush down to 124, 125 for a dip buy. All right, rewind that if you didn't catch it on the weekly time frame. Let's see what we have. All right, bear with me as I navigate this screen. It is loading up. All right, taking too long. We're gonna move on. All right. Okay, so the last ones we're gonna check out. I want to show you a market eternal, and we're gonna head back over to Tesla and SPY. Okay. All right, Palantir. Right, I like the continuation there. All right, some folks are giving it a 200 price target. Okay, look at this chart here. Right, we are really well extended. Right, we are really extended. All right, so we have a asymmetric triangle. It's going towards the upside. We have a very bullish move. All right. If you are long-term Palantir and you can afford to buy shares, I say do that on a dollar cost average basis. All right, you want to find the good demands on a weekly and the daily time frame, like a good place at 106. I like Palantir, but I wouldn't touch it up here. This is a volatile stock, but they're getting contracts, government contracts. All right, and so Palantir, there's a price target on Palantir of about $200. If I throw the fib up here, all right, we can see an extended move. 1 second, guys. Right here. Yep. You already hit the front back. Right. So have a price target of 150 on Palantir. It is Freaky Friday. All right. OPEX Friday. It's 3:21 p.m. 6:13. Yes. Break of the parallel channel. Bull flag. Continued move. 150 and 166 and beyond. Okay. All right. Wait for pullbacks. All right. Wait for pullbacks. Okay. If you're not already in. All right. Now, I think that wraps it up besides CoreWeave. CoreWeave was one of those top stocks everybody loves. Okay, they got some deals going on. But very, very volatile stock. Profits could be taken. I would not chase this. I would wait for a more prominent pullback on CoreWeave. That's what I see on CoreWeave. Let me throw on some metrics here. All right, throw on some metrics here. All right, and we're gonna hop back to Tesla. We're gonna finish this video out. All right, here we go on CoreWeave. CoreWeave is gonna continue to be bullish as long as we can stay above 146.85. 146.85, we can continue to stay bullish, right? But we do have lower highs, exhaustion wicks right here that says that we could push down. Okay, so being that it's 322, you don't have a whole lot of time today, all right? But if you're watching this video and you see it tomorrow or the next day, ready for next week, you can understand these levels, all right? CoreWeave, all right? CoreWeave right there at around, I'll say, let's say 145.27, 145.27, and of course the bottom of this range candle here, if you guys can see, okay, the bottom of this range candle right here. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see. All right, we are on the 4-hour time frame for CoreWeave, the candle that formed today. All right, so the bottom of that candle is at 141.69. So 141.69 and 145.34.35 are my entries for puts for a flush down to the downside. All right, all the way down to 131, and we can even see 123. All right, but other than that, I want to look continuously to look bullish. All right, that is my trigger. So if my triggers are not coming, I'm not doing anything. You understand? I don't want to do anything for a trade to the upside. I want to see this parallel channel break here. All right, so above these previous levels of resistance here, 158, 156, and 154 has to break for a stronger push towards the upside on volume. Now back to Tesla. All right, we're gonna go to Tesla and see what Tesla has been doing since we talked, and we're gonna wrap this video up. Appreciate you guys staying with me this entire time. Okay, since we've been talking on the live commentary here tonight for this OPEX Friday edition video, Tesla has moved from 322 all the way to 327. But however, we are showing lower highs right now, so the bears are trying to take this thing back down. Bulls, be cautious. All right, if we break these levels, we can see more downside continuation on a shorter time frame basis. All right, but I am bullish on the longer time frame basis. Okay, I see a cup and handle on Tesla. A cup and handle on Tesla is really, really good to see. It's a very powerful pattern, and we need to get above this speed line that came from June 11th, all right, a couple of days ago. All right, we have this speed line, and if we can get above this speed line, we can see parabolic prices towards the upside back to all-time highs. All right, that first immediate target is obvious. All right, would be, hey, I said 355, but also at 347. You can see those immediate targets. All right, so that's what I have for you guys today. I appreciate you watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed the quick analysis of the charts as I went one by one with them. Of course, if you liked the video, hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you found it valuable at all. I drop valuable videos like this all the time, and I try to keep them coming every week and every other day to not overcrowd you, but to give you some context, and so you can see how we trade, market structure, and price action, and it is based off of rules and edge. Okay, sometimes the best trade is no trade. Remember that cash is